I never thought I'd find myself here. My wife, the woman I spent 10 years with, filed for divorce, confessed to multiple affairs, and now, she regrets it all. And it all began with the first 7 years of our marriage, the golden years. To me, it was perfect. She was everything. A loving wife, an incredible mother. We were a team. I couldn't have asked for more. But the last 3 years? They've been a nightmare, despite all my efforts to fix things. We tried counseling, countless sessions, trying to bridge that ever-widening gap. I did everything I could, dates, books, podcasts, you name it, but no matter what I did, I couldn't close the space between us. Then, out of nowhere, she blindsided me. Divorce papers. She wanted out. I was gutted, devastated. I pleaded with her, begged her to reconsider. She wavered for a moment, but then stood firm. I never got a real reason why. I wasn't perfect, of course. I had my flaws, my mistakes. I could have done better in certain areas, but I was always faithful. I was always there for her. I worked hard to provide for our family. But none of that mattered in the end. A month after filing, she had already moved on. She was dating someone else. And just a month later, she introduced him to our kids. That hurt more than I can put into words. But it didn't stop there. During the divorce discovery process, she came clean. She confessed to having affairs throughout our marriage. Multiple affairs, stretching back to when we were still in the honeymoon phase. One even lasted over a year. The worst part? She claimed it was only a handful of encounters. A handful. I was blindsided. She kept this whole other life from me. The amount of lying, the deception, it was staggering. The day I found out, it was the worst day of my life. But in some sick way, it gave me clarity. All those years of struggling to reconnect, all that effort on my part, it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. She'd been checked out long before the marriage officially fell apart. 6 months passed, and I racked up nearly $100,000 in legal fees. And just when I thought I'd moved on, she called me, asking if we could reconcile. She even said she would break up with her new boyfriend to try again with me. But what triggered this sudden change of heart? Was it because she saw I was dating someone new? Or perhaps it was the cold, hard reality of her finances without my income to rely on? She claimed it was because she saw how great of a dad I was, that she saw the effort I put into being there for our kids. I sat down with her, listened. I owed her that much after everything. She admitted her mistakes, gave an apology that sounded sincere, though she couldn't resist blaming me for driving her to it. The audacity! I get it, there are always two sides to every story. But blaming me for her infidelities? I couldn't accept that. I know she's sorry. I can feel it. But the damage was done. I told her no. I couldn't go back. And the divorce was finalized just a few weeks ago. But she hasn't let up. Day after day, she texts, begging for another chance. It's been draining, seeing her filled with so much regret, hurting so deeply. I still care about her, I always will, but I can't undo the betrayal. I can't trust her again. And now, I found someone else. A woman who is not only beautiful but also supportive and patient. She's been a rock, and I'm grateful for her every single day. Looking back at everything, it almost feels surreal. Who in their right mind would want to fix a marriage like this? Who would be crazy enough to even entertain the idea of giving it another shot? I don't love her anymore, but I did. And the kids. I'll always be connected to her through them. Co-parenting will never truly allow me to walk away completely. It's hard. So hard. Maybe I'm posting this for validation. Maybe I just need to hear that I'm doing the right thing. Has anyone else been through something like this? Any advice? The community's responses were eye-opening. One person pointed out how she would only break up with the other guy after I agreed to take her back. What kind of mentality is that? Does she really think she's not Plan B? Another commenter said she's selfish and delusional, but at least I should be proud of how I've handled everything with dignity and maturity. And then there was this one response that struck a chord with me. It reminded me that I've been through two of the most painful experiences anyone could endure, and somehow, I've come out stronger. Why would I go back to that pain? She wasn't asking for reconciliation for our sake, it was for her own convenience. She realized the grass wasn't greener. But the reality hit her too late. And now, she wants me back, when she should have known from the start that playing with fire would only leave her burnt. In the end, the fact that she's still with the other guy, still trying to pull me back into her life, it's all backwards. She wants to have it all, but what she doesn't realize is that the cake she's after isn't sweet anymore. It's bitter, it's full of regret, and it's come at a very high cost. A marriage fractured by secrets, a betrayal that cuts deeper than you could ever imagine. Imagine the gut-wrenching feeling of being blindsided by the two people you trusted the most. A best friend, a partner, now forever tangled in lies and hurt. How does it even happen? When does love slip into deceit? For 7 years, they were my life, my husband, my best friend. We had a child, a beautiful son who we raised together, and everything seemed perfect. Or so I thought. He was my rock, the person I confided in. But she, the one I called my best friend, the one who knew everything about us, had something else in mind. It all started subtly. There was distance, a quiet shift, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I'd see her less often, and when we did talk, the reasons she gave for her absence always seemed valid, sensible. But even then, something felt off. I never suspected that the very person I trusted most would stab me in the back. No, I didn't see this coming. Not in a million years. The affair was a whisper at first, hidden behind casual texts and shared frustrations about our lives. She confided in me about her own marriage, the dissatisfaction, the lack of passion. I was there for her, listening, comforting. I never imagined she would turn that very vulnerability into something so dark. And then came the Halloween party, October 2023. That's when everything changed. She told me, with a twisted honesty, that she felt an undeniable attraction to my husband. I should have seen the warning signs, shouldn't I? But I didn't. I believed in her words when she said it was just harmless flirting, just innocent conversation. Little did I know that Halloween night marked the start of something far more dangerous. It wasn't long before the texts turned from simple exchanges into something far more intimate, something I could never have imagined. She had a front row seat to my life, to the love I thought was real. But behind my back, she was texting my husband. And as their conversation spiraled, the messages grew more inappropriate, more charged. What was once a cry for help became an invitation. Eventually, they met, discreetly, in the middle of the week. And the affair began. My best friend and my husband, two people I held closest, betraying me in ways I couldn't comprehend. Their meetings became frequent, their bond deepening in secrecy. They met over 20 times, each encounter layering more guilt over their conscience. But they didn't stop. They kept going until Christmas. That's when she claimed it ended. But it didn't end for me. Not then, not now. I always thought he was a good man. A man who wouldn't betray me. He was known in the community, admired even. Charming, yes, but always respectful, never crossing the line. Or so I thought. Our marriage was built on trust, on laughter and late-night talks, on moments that were just ours. I never imagined it could crumble so quickly, so completely. The moment she confessed, it felt like the earth had shifted beneath me. This was a revelation that shattered everything I had known. And to make matters worse, she was considerate enough to wait until my husband was out of town, perhaps thinking I needed time to process. What a thoughtful touch. She told me the truth in fragments, in broken pieces, while he was away with his son. I was numb, empty inside, hollowed out. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but all I could do was smile and act normal when I picked him up from the airport. I didn't let on that I knew. How could I? How could I face him when my world was falling apart? When everything I knew was a lie? And then the guilt. The guilt of not being able to immediately confront him, of not knowing what to say, how to react. How do you even begin to pick up the pieces of something so broken? My mind raced, my heart ached, and yet I felt paralyzed. I had no answers. No clarity. And what about her husband? The one she confessed to, the one who now might be reaching out to confront my husband? That added a whole new layer to the mess. I couldn't sit in silence forever, but I didn't know how to reach out to him. My hands were shaking as I typed a message, then deleted it. What could I say? How could I say it? The worst part? The part that keeps echoing in my mind is that she knew. She knew all along. She knew how much I loved him. She knew how deep my trust ran, and yet she still chose to destroy everything. Now, I'm left to pick up the pieces, unsure of what comes next. But one thing is certain. I will never be the same again. I don't know where this path leads, but I do know I can't walk it with her. Not anymore. The damage is done. And in the quiet aftermath, I can only wonder, how do you even begin to move on when the two people you trusted most are the ones who hurt you the most? What would you do in my shoes? How do you face the destruction of everything you thought you knew? I don't have all the answers, but I know I can't stay here. Not like this. Not anymore. As the night deepens and my husband drifts off to sleep, he reaches for me. He rubs up against me, trying to initiate sex. I can't help but feel the weight of it all. Normally, after being apart for a few days, I'd be eager, ready to reconnect. But tonight, with everything swirling in my mind, I know I won't be able to play along for much longer. How do I even act normal when everything feels so wrong? The voices from the community echo in my mind. See a lawyer, one suggests. Find out where you stand. I feel the urgency building, a whirlwind of advice flooding in. They're right. If he's been hiding this, who knows what else he's been keeping from me? Social media. His phone. There's so much to uncover, so much I need to know. It's overwhelming, but I can't stop now. I have to stay strong. Another voice chimes in, talking about guilt. Extreme guilt would have led him to confess after the first time, they say. But this? 20 times? That's a full-blown affair. The fact that he's been carrying on like nothing's wrong? It shows just how good of a liar he is. The advice is clear, stop trusting him. This was no accident, no mistake. This was planned, calculated. Meeting up 20 times? The secret texts, the hidden meetings, they all speak to something much darker. And what about her? If she hadn't confessed, would he still be lying? The truth would still be buried, and he'd keep playing this game. She might have shattered the illusion, but she's not a hero. She's just as guilty. Tell him you're getting an STD test. Call a lawyer. Make sure he knows the consequences of his actions. If he's not ready to leave, then ask him to go. The only communication between you two should be about the kids, the property. That's what lawyers are for, after all. Expect denial, they say. But there's more to consider. Who else has he been seeing? If he's this good at hiding one affair, what's to say there are more? Her separation might be the first step in a bigger plan, one that involves him. She might want him for herself. Another piece of advice strikes, get a lawyer. Get a therapist. Get rid of your best friend. How could she betray me like this? The one person I trusted the most. If I stay with him, will I always be questioning his loyalty? Wondering if every glance, every smile, is a lie? Leave a cheater, gain a life. It seems like the only way forward. How could I have been so oblivious? I noticed something was off with her, but I was too focused on her to see the real threat. How did I miss all the signs? I can hardly believe it. They took betrayal to an art form, didn't they? She confessed because she didn't want me to hear it from him first. How noble. And the way it all started? At a children's Halloween party. How perfect. Flirting amidst superheroes in costumes, all while I had no idea. Her complaints about her own marriage? Just a prelude to her pursuing mine. It's sickening. She wasn't looking for advice, she was looking for an opening. And my husband? He was all too happy to play the part of the marriage counselor, offering more than just advice. How did they manage to keep this going through Christmas? While I was hanging decorations, they were, well, we all know what they were doing. It's chilling to think about. The fact that he came home, acting as if everything was fine, makes it feel like I've been living with a stranger. A sociopath, even. He rubbed against me like nothing had happened. Like I didn't know the truth. The first step is clear, lawyer up. The guilt he's hiding won't protect him now. I didn't do anything wrong, except trust the wrong people. Now it's time to investigate. His social media. His phone records. Who knows what else I'll find buried there? When I finally serve him those divorce papers, I'll make sure to thank my so-called best friend. After all, she's the one who did me the favor of showing me the truth. Have you ever been betrayed by a friend? What did you do? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you next time.